The Glock 19 Erica uses has seen about 7,000 rounds since I bought it, and I bought it used. So we decided to try out a new barrel. But what do you really get aside from a fancy look? When the Glock Store offered one that didn't have a goofy engraving on it, and on sale, I jumped on it. After a warm-up, we had Erica put 10 rounds into a target. This was the result using cheap ammunition. I then switched the barrel directly out of the box.
Old barrel's warm.
And she put 10 more rounds into a new target. With this result and the same ammunition. See the difference? Alright, so in comparing these two barrels, we saw that the Glock Store barrel obviously improved Erica's grouping quite a bit. The ammunition we're using was this ZVS from Slovakia. It's very inexpensive, which is why we had it. Nothing fancy. That's also why we shot 10 rounds. So one of the things that I've been told about that makes the difference between a more precise barrel and a factory barrel is a tighter tolerance in the throat. That being that there's not as much free space in the chamber for the brass. They warn that that makes it sometimes harder to feed or makes it less reliable because there's less tolerance there. Less tolerance, more precise, also pickier about ammo. So what I wanted to do was look at how much play there was with the round in there between the regular ammo that we used and also a fancier hollow point. Let's take a regular round, drop it in there, and see if I can get this. There's a little bit of wiggle side to side. Okay. Take our Glock Store barrel, drop it in there. Considerably less wiggle. In fact, you can barely hear a little bit of movement, whereas with this, here. Right, so that's with this inexpensive Slovakian-made ZVS ammo, which, by the way, we didn't have any issues with during testing. Now take Hornady self-defense round, right, zinc-coated case, all pretty and fancy. Drop it into our Glock Store barrel. Still have a touch bit of movement, not a whole lot. Drop it into our worn Glock barrel. Still has a decent amount of play. Another demonstration of the interesting difference in throat spacing between the two of the factory barrel and the Glock Store barrel is if we simply drop a round in the chamber, falls out freely. That's with the inexpensive ZVS. Now let's say you've got something slightly different, like a fancy zinc-plated Hornady defense round. Comes out just fine on a Glock barrel, Glock Store barrel. Considerably tighter. So that could be an example of where you might have feed and reliability issues, but it also definitely shows that there is a different tightness between the two. I admit there are variables such as the friction coefficient of this brass versus this brass, and the material that the Glock Store barrel is made out of versus the material the Glock barrel is made out of. But you get the idea. I later weighed the barrels and was surprised to see the Glock Store barrel is actually a touch lighter. We of course don't have nearly as many rounds through the new barrel as the old, but the wear marks so far show no fitment issues and it cycled just fine. Although I'd been told there's no need to replace the barrel, it certainly seemed to give a boost to accuracy.